Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Alright, let's see what we got going on here today. Space weather, wise, cosmic weather. Alright, space weather is our first stop along our cosmic weather journey for today. Solar wind is currently at 378.9 kilometers per second. Planetary K index at a 2, expected to be no higher than a 2 next 24 hours. Here's our coronal hull that is taking place, and again, notice the triangular-like shape that seems to be underneath this bit of plasma here. Chance for M-class flares is about a 30% chance, only 1% chance of X-class flare, and geomagnetic storm activity can be severe in the higher latitudes, 40%, 30% minor, and about 15% to 20% active. That's in the high latitudes. And if you're in the mid latitude, it's going to be much less. And of course, we have our same notice here. It says, as NASA-sponsored researcher at the University of Iowa has developed a way for spacecraft to hunt down hidden magnetic portals in the vicinity of the Earth. These gateways link the magnetic fields of our planet to that of the Sun, setting the stage for stormy space weather. Alright. And there's sun flare right there, or the actual AR-1513. Alright, then astrologically, we're dealing with the element of water for our conscious mind. Cancer is the sign. The crab wears the shell to protect itself from the armor or from the emotions that are hitting it, in the same way that the chariot in the tarot that represents the card of Cancer or the sign of Cancer also wears armor to protect itself from the emotional blows that are taking place. So Cancerian times, watery times, are emotional times where it's important that we are able to channel the energy and understand that the emotions are the ones being really stretched and pushed. And then unconsciously, we've gone into the sign of Scorpio. Scorpio is the unconscious mind. Scorpio is a water sign. And Scorpio, again, is about going to those deeper emotions and feelings. Way, way deep down to the things that are hidden. That is the idea with the Scorpio, the darkness and the tail coming from the depths to bite you, because you don't necessarily know what's down there, hidden in the depths, because Scorpio represents that which can be way, way, way down there, something hidden. But it also, in the tarot card, represents the card of death, which is about a transformation that takes place. A transformation that takes place. Just like a seed is planted, the seed transforms into a plant. So there's a process of change taking place unconsciously, and it's being expressed through emotions and feelings on a conscious level. So as you go through the day and you feel these emotions around, you just take a moment to ground yourself. The moon is waxing, which means it's on its way up to a full moon. It's currently at 78% of the way there. And on the Mayan oracle, we are at a 6th position, 6th tone. 6th tone is called the rhythmic tone. And the kin for today is the human. So today is the rhythmic human, guided by the human. The phrase is, I organize in order to influence balancing wisdom. I seal the process of free will with the rhythmic tone of equality. I am guided by my own power double. Then on the Gregorian calendar, it is Friday, June 29th, 2012. Alright, that catches up to speed with our cosmic weather, so you know what you're dealing with as you go out and about in the world today. Alright, yesterday I started the piece In Search of Atlantis. I played half of it. Pretty interesting, don't you think? Probably something you haven't heard or seen in a while, unless you've been checking out these videos at YouTube. Anyway, I'm going to play the second part right now. Cue this up. And away we go.
There is other evidence to support Plato's description of an island that was greater than Africa and Asia together. Ancient maps have led geographers to explore the possibility that the Antarctic slowly drifted south in the wake of a massive upheaval. Whatever the reason, we know that once it was part of a much larger landmass. The western edge of that land may lie here, beneath the crystal waters of the Caribbean. The actual discovery, however, is no more astonishing than the man who predicted its very existence. These strange blocks were first seen in a vision by the most remarkable mystic of all time, Edgar Cayce. Edgar Cayce was known as the Sleeping Prophet. Hundreds of astonishingly accurate predictions are cataloged in the archives of the foundation which bears his name. In 1939, Edgar Cayce predicted the end of World War II and his own death. Both events, he said, would take place in 1945. He was right. He foresaw the freedom of India from England, the death of John Kennedy, and a number of geological changes that are still to take place. Edgar Cayce's most remarkable prophecy, however, concerns a lost kingdom. Geological upheavals, he said, would bring about the rediscovery of Atlantis. Cayce saw Atlantis breaking up into 5 islands. The largest he called Poseidia. And Poseidia will be among the first portions of Atlantis to rise again, expected in 68 or 69. That prediction was made in 1940. In 1967, a pilot flying over the Bahamas sighted a rectangular structure beneath the crystal clear waters. It was precisely where Cayce had said Atlantis would be, under the slime of ages of seawater, near what is known as Bimini, off the coast of Florida. And here they lie, huge white blocks chiseled with incredible precision and covering a large area of ocean bottom. No one knows how they got here 35 feet beneath the sea off the coast of Bimini. But here they are found. 2 possible explanations exist. 1, the stones are the remains of a network of paved roads. 2, they are the tops of huge stone walls that once enclosed the palaces of Atlantis. Author Peter Tompkins filmed the work of an expedition that hoped to locate Atlantis using clues from Cayce's writings. Aboard were Count Pino Turola, an Italian archaeologist, underwater explorer Dmitry Rebekov, and archaeologist Dr. David Zink. This expedition was to produce one of the most startling finds ever made in the search for Atlantis. Beyond the giant blocks, the divers discovered the remains of several ships. One had gone down in the year 1830. Beneath it lay the fragments of still another ship, one that had sailed the seas more than 3,000 years ago. Not a ship of Atlantis, certainly, but according to Yale's Dr. J. Manson Ballantyne, a voyager from Phoenicia. The Phoenicians were the greatest sea traders of ancient times. Their ships called at every port in the known world. Could it be that Phoenician traders came more than 5,000 miles from the site of classical Mediterranean civilization to deal with a rich and fabled kingdom? The question posed by the wrecks and the blocks of the Bimini Wall remained unanswered as the expedition continued to explore the waters off Bimini. South of the wall, Pino Turola, a leading underwater explorer, discovered 4 marble columns. At first, it was thought they were bits of ballast from a wrecked ship. After days of diving and investigation, Tirola developed a different theory. He believes that the columns could be 12,000 years old, actual relics of a center constructed in stone and marble. There are more tests to be made. Geologic dating of these and the expedition's other finds could confirm the explorers' theory that here is Atlantis. Here is the fabled world. Here, ships may have visited a crowded port. Here, marketplaces may have been filled with the multitudinous sound of human voices that Plato told us about. The din and clatter of all sorts, night and day. Columns may be all that remains of an entire civilization blasted apart by an incredible explosion. At every one of the sites we have investigated, there are artifacts of a remarkable civilization. But nowhere can we find the remains of the people who once lived in Atlantis. Plato may have explained it when he said the people of Atlantis were warned of impending disaster, and they fled. No one has ever investigated this aspect of Plato's account. But if it is correct, the clues to where the Atlanteans went next may be contained in the giant megaliths that guard the lonely outposts of the world. At Easter Island, atop the Andes at Tijuana, in the jungles of Central America at La Venta, we can find the final clues to the mystery. These monoliths may tell us where the refugees, the engineers, astronomers, and architects fled, carrying the technology and culture of Atlantis. If so, we can begin to understand why the great cultures of the past bear such striking similarities. Egypt, one of the greatest of ancient civilizations, is symbolized by its pyramids. So too does the pyramid mark the ruins of this highly advanced Mayan society. There are other similarities. The Egyptian temple of Amen-Ra at Karnak is aligned with the sun. Only at the time of the summer solstice, the sun strikes the central chamber of the temple, known to the ancient Egyptians as the high room of the sun. 8,000 miles away, in the remote peaks of the Andes, the Inca marked the seasonal solstices with this monument. Using almost the same words as the Egyptians, they called it the hitching post of the sun. Perhaps the most remarkable record of the exodus from Atlantis is preserved in the 1,500-year-old pottery of a Peruvian tribe called the Mochica. In their vases and utensils, they depicted Orientals and Negroes, Arabs, Indians, Egyptians, and Greeks, people who might have been known to each other in Atlantis. In the stones and bones of the past, we've made a startling discovery. There is a common origin for many widely dispersed ancient civilizations. In the tombs of Peru, we see similarities with other cultures, with the Mayans, with the Egyptians. In the development of mathematics and astronomy, we see links that may reach back to a common origin in Atlantis. And most startling of all is the shared belief in eternal life. In fragrant linen, buried amidst the treasures of their world, they seek the hereafter, guided by their ancestral traditions. Perhaps their ancestors were the people of Atlantis. We have attempted to piece together the jigsaw puzzle of history that has been scattered by disaster. In so doing, we've found what may be the only remaining traces of the lost kingdom of Atlantis. Of one thing we can be certain: the memory of Atlantis is no myth. It is history. The tale of Atlantis was first told by the priests of Egypt to a Greek poet named Solon. They assured him that the original archive containing the tale of Atlantis still existed. That was 3,000 years ago. In one of his last prophecies, Edgar Cayce said that the archives of Atlantis would one day be revealed in Egypt. Soon, a new expedition will begin the re-exploration of the pyramids of Egypt, searching among the hieroglyphs and tomb paintings for the absolute proof that once, back before the beginnings of history, a marvelously advanced civilization of human beings once ruled the earth from an island continent called Atlantis.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk, thank you very much. I've got several stories for us today. I think 5 right here. Let's jump into it. First one comes to us from Roger Marsh at the Examiner. Oregon witness says UFO beaming blue light to ground level. Multiple Clackamas County, Oregon witnesses are reporting several triangle or square objects moving around the sky, with one UFO shooting blue light to the ground on June 26th. According to testimony from the MUFON database, one of the witnesses was outside having a cigarette when the first object came into view. I saw a bright light. It looked like a top. The reporting witness stated it began to grow brighter, so I called my girlfriend out to view it. When the light began to move erratically, that's when the neighbor was walking by, and I pointed it out to her. Then it shot up 500 feet into the sky and began hovering. And then it looked like it shot 2 objects of the blue light towards the surface. The witness described the blue light. It appeared to have a tracer, leaving 2 streaks of blue temporarily in the sky. Afterwards, it began to move erratically away from the left to right until it disappeared. No photos or pictures or anything with that. Just the reports. Okay, next one here comes to us from latest-UFO-sightings.net. This is over at Tijuana, Mexico on the 27th. Let's take a look at this here. Actually, it looks like the sighting was not on the 27th, but on the 24th is what it said in the video. Oh no, it is the 27th. My bad. Alright, 27th. Alright, there's our object in question right in the middle of the screen. Right in here, alright. So, we've certainly all seen this type of object before. Alright, nice bright object. Alright, next sighting. This is the crop circle. Okay, we have 2 good videos here, the crop circles that recently took place. First one here. Okay, this is the one that was not too long ago, on the 11th. Okay. Then we're going to come down here and we're going to take a further look at the most recent of the crop circles. Alright, that one's pretty fascinating. It kind of spirals around, almost like a Fibonacci spiral, perhaps. Alright, so we're going to look over here at further examination, because up over at Crop Circle Connector, we've got some information here relating to this crop circle. Some research that was done. So check it out, see what you think. But it actually goes ahead and it shows the correlation between a variety of different planets in the solar system and those that might be represented within here. Okay. There's a lot of research being done. What this could be, what it could not be. Alright. Italy goes on to say, Fabbrico, Italy shows a triple alignment of the M45, the Pleiades, Jupiter, and Venus on the Mayan calendar. In a modern calendar, it equals June 23, 2012, when all three objects lined up in the east just before sunrise. The part of the Fabbrico, Italy, on June 25th showed a schematic image of the Pleiades star cluster M45 as it was depicted on the Nebra sky disk 1600 BC. Right here. Alright. As its center, the wide flat plane is a representation of the galactic anti-center. Within that center is the Pleiades. The central dot of the plane is Alcyone, surrounded by the remainder of the seven sisters in stylized form. There have been many crop circles over the years with the same spiraling form extending out from the center. If we remember that huge spiral galaxy formation which numbered 409 circles, the centerpiece of that was also Alcyone. Remember the 0 from 409, and then again you have the factor of 7. The accepted wisdom is that only December 21st alignment of the summer solstice of the solstice sun with the galactic center that is being signposted by the circle makers. This is only half of the story. After fully digesting the great work of John Major Jenkins, my contention is that the annual galactic anti-center alignment of the sun with the Pleiades as depicted here is just as important. Spiral design is evident in the plan of the motif of Quetzalcoatl. I'm sure that the Red Collie will be able to winnow out even more information about this crop circle than I am at this moment. Okay, so you can see there's lots of information here about this circle. Check it out. See what you think of that. All right. Moving right along here, next story, Peeling the Quantum Layers Off Alien Onion, a story by Diane Tessman over at UFO Digest. We can all agree that UFOs and the aliens within are not of one source. This is a multi-layered puzzle and is in fact many different phenomena. Do the various sources have any relationship to each other? What does this mean for humans and for our planet? I believe there are three primary categories of aliens and their UFOs in terms of quantum molecular structures. First category, the outside layer of the UFO onion. There are nuts and bolts spacecraft which probably have arrived after the long journey from another planet or moon. We are beginning to realize that with ion power, the ability to nullify gravity, living beings could make the trip in a reasonable amount of time. Both ion power and the mechanism of nullifying gravity as a means of propulsion are currently under research by our own scientists. Gravity corridors in space from one large celestial body to another are also realistic, ongoing possibilities for human space travelers. Certainly, a sentient race a few centuries ahead of us in technology could use similar means of getting from there to here. If Saturn's moon Titan has advanced life forms through the chemical evolutionary process associated with methane and silicon instead of our own water and carbon, then those aliens could account for some of the nuts and bolts craft, especially those which zoom into bodies of water so easily. Titan's methane lakes could be a more hospitable place for life to have arisen rather than Titan's land masses. Thus, an intelligent species evolved which is at home in liquid, not solid. The UFO zoom right into the water. So then it goes on, very interesting, talking about all the different layers that are involved with this particular phenomenon. And then the last one here is a story about from National Geographic. It says, I'm reaching out to you on behalf of National Geographic Channel to share some info about a new series, Chasing UFOs. premiering June 29th, and to invite you to view an advanced screening of the show and participate in the mini blog Carnival will be hosting a promotion for it late next week. Chasing UFOs features a team of pioneering investigators who push the limits to find the truth behind unexplained UFO sightings. These real-life Scully and Mulders are not looking for more stories and extraterrestrial activity. They want answers. Comprising one believer, one skeptic, and one undecided, the dynamic team collects video footage of unusual shaped lights over Arizona, meets with an alleged alien abduction survivor in Colorado, and even tracks glowing objects near Kennedy Space Center. You can check out previews and more at natgeotv.com, Chasing UFOs. Alright, so I wanted to make you aware of this because I'm going to get into National Geographic a little bit later. But there's a show I saw on it last night. It was When Aliens Attack, or If Aliens Attack, something of this nature. I believe that it's very important that people understand that there's a psychological operation being played upon them. I'm going to get more into that in a bit. Let me jump ahead to our song, and I'll be back. Got more news and information and some stuff you want to hear. Here we go.
Against this nation, would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People shouldn't be afraid of their governments. Governments should be afraid of
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw a UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, big brothers watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I and the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm.
I have
Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
Okay, so continuing along, I want to try to weave some things together for you here. Let's take a look first off at WND, World News Daily. Attorney asked judge to have Obama vetted. Now, you're not hearing any of this on the mainstream, okay? So They're ignoring these issues. They don't want you to know this. We have already addressed this issue in Tallahassee, Florida. Just make sure Barack Obama meets the requirements of the Constitution to be president. That's essentially what a lawsuit pending before a Florida judge is seeking. Reasonable question, don't you think? According to attorney Larry Klayman, who has proposed to Judge Terry Lewis an order the judge could adopt, accept, or reject. Lewis is best known for presiding over the 2000 Bush versus Gore election dispute and is credited with making crucial rulings in that case. Klayman filed the current challenge to Obama's eligibility for the Florida ballot on behalf of Michael Volz, who identifies himself in the complaint as a registered member of the Democratic Party, a voter, and a taxpayer in Broward County. In a proposed memorandum opinion, an order Klayman has just submitted to the judge. He asked for the determination that the Florida Secretary of State Kent Detzmer has an affirmative duty to determine the eligibility of defendant Obama before his name is placed on the Florida primary or the general election ballots, or before the presidential elections for the state of Florida cast their votes after the 2012 general election should he win the Florida presidential election. Klayman suggests that the court issue preliminary and permanent injunctions preventing the certification by the Florida Election Canvassing Commission of defendant Obama as Democratic nominee for the 2012 election, as well as permanent injunctions preventing the placement of defendant Obama's name on the 2012 presidential primary and general election ballots, and with regard to the presidential electors voting for defendant Obama should he win the Florida general election for office of President of the United States. So there's a lot there. All right, I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but we've been keeping you up to date with what's going on. Okay, so keep that in mind there. Now we're going to move on. Now remember all the talk, Obama and the Antichrist. There's those out there who say, oh no, that can't quite possibly be. Despite the fact that this man is going in and acting very Antichrist-like, all these Christians out here who have spent years talking about, watch out for the Antichrist, there seem to be missing the very problem in front of their eyes that they have been saying we need to watch out for. So maybe we need to pray for the Christians that are being fooled, because remember, Book of Revelation says, and prophecy says, in those days even God's children will be fooled. So look again at what's going on here, friends, and you decide where you are. Obama fills Isaiah 9:10 prophecy again. All right. The handwritten message Barack Obama scrawled on the new building site at Ground Zero last night seemed optimistic, upbeat, non-controversial at first glance. However, the message continues a pattern of American leaders fulfilling an ancient biblical prophecy and a curse of judgment on the U.S., according to the best-selling Christian book of 2012 and the #1 faith movie. While Obama was creating a stir in Manhattan with star-studded celebrity fundraisers, he also took a side trip that got less publicity. His official presidential business was to visit the new World Trade Center building site, where he signed a gigantic steel girder with the message of interest to the hundreds of thousands who have read The Harbinger or seen the video documentary, The Isaiah 9:10 Judgment. We remember, he wrote, we rebuild, we come back stronger. The book and the video have shocked readers and viewers around the country and the leaders and the world by showing that eerie and striking parallels between the vows of the leaders of ancient Israel before its judgment and the fall of the American leaders since 9/11. What was foreshadowed in The Harbinger and Isaiah 9:10 Judgment film is now being fulfilled by the President of the United States, Sir John Cahan, the Messianic rabbi, pastor, and author. The book and film specifically connect Obama's words from his first State of the Union message in January 2009 with the ancient vow that brought judgment on ancient Israel. The ancient vow begins with these words, the bricks have fallen, but we will rebuild with hewn stone, explains Khan. The vow declares Israel's defiance of God in the face of the devastating strike on the land. The hewn stone, which begins the rebuilding, symbolizes the nation's intention to come back stronger than before. The book then reveals the parallel, a proclamation given by Obama. Tonight I want every American to know this. We will rebuild, and the United States of America will emerge stronger than before. Well, a lot more to this article. I'm not going to read this, but again, Obama's doing Fulfilling prophecies. Okay, not the good ones. All right, here's 9/11. I put it up here so you can take a look at it. But the Lord has strengthened resin foes against them and has spurred their enemies on. Okay, there's a lot more here. So if you're a student of the Bible, go through and have a reference point to see what this Isaiah 9:11 is all about. There's a lot there. All right, moving right along here. Moving right along. Healthcare. Healthcare is the big issue that you heard about. We all heard about the other day. Well, now we've got this notice here. House will repeal on July 11th. Okay, are they really going to do this? Well, Majority Leader Eric Cantor said Thursday Republican House-led House will vote on repealing the healthcare law soon after the July 4th recess. Cantor, who sets the floor and schedule, said in a statement the House will vote on the repeal the week of July 9th, which Cantor said will clear the path for patient-centered reforms that lower costs and increase choices. All right, we'll find out about that, how that goes. But continuing on, still putting pieces together, right? Okay. Now let me stop here for a minute. Now, Obama has signed some executive orders, as you know. The National Defense Authorization Act, the National Defense Resources Preparedness Act. He most recently declared a state of emergency, which means that these acts are going to be instituted. As a matter of fact, at the bottom of his declaration, he is telling his agencies to go do what you must now to fulfill the next part. So there's action being taken against the people. You could see that the president is not who he claims to be. He has spent a lot of time trying to cover things up. As it is getting closer and closer to this election, there are more pressures. The media is not talking about these things. You haven't heard about the state of emergency. You haven't heard about all the challenges Obama is having. As these things go on, when the pressure usually becomes great, a false flag incident usually takes place. It just is the way that our societies have seemed to be doing things. So a false flag comes in order to distract people from what's really going on. Okay? Do you want to be distracted from what's going on? I don't want to be distracted. What's going on is really important to understand. Now, let's take a look at this here. This is a different kind of nursing experience. Serve as an Army nurse right here in St. Louis. St. Louis. How about that? I am a nurse serving my country in the Army Reserves 1 week in the month and 2 weeks in the summer. $50,000 loan repayment. Scholarships for CRNA and psychiatric master's level programs. Excellent medical, dental, and life insurance. Build a second retirement and VA benefits. It goes on to say, train as a nurse in the Army Medical Centers. Hawaii, San Antonio, Texas, Washington, Seattle, etc. Advanced training areas like flight nursing in Birmingham, surgical training in the Institute of Surgical. Stay locally. No basic training for nurses, so they just want to get the nurses in there. Okay, now, is it good that we have nurses? Yes. But this is the Army is looking for nurses. Think about it. Why would the Army need nurses here in the United States? Nurses are used when people are injured. So is there something coming up where there is expected to be a large number of injured people that more nurses here in the United States are being required? Just a question. Just something that we need to keep asking. Okay, so we connect all these dots. We're still going here. Power outage closes Midway Airport for over 4 hours. Power has been restored to the running lights at Midway International Airport after a night that left passengers stranded and miserable for hours. As CBS 2's Susanna Song reports, the outage occurred at 8:30 p.m. and the airport was shut down around 9:10 p.m. The outage has already affected 50 flights by 10 p.m. according to the Chicago Department of Aviation spokesman Karen Pride. Even though the outage lasted only a few hours, 85 flights and thousands of passengers were affected in all. The airport reopened at 1:19 a.m. and the power was restored. All right, so what does this have to do with anything? Well, when you have big blocks of energy being turned off like this or shutting down, that's of concern. We're looking for patterns. We're looking for big things which are taking place that might take our attention off of what is going on. Okay? What is going on in the political scene and the financial scene is absolute nonsense. It's garbage. There needs to be some sort of distraction because the people are starting to pay attention. And as people pay attention, they're not liking what they're seeing. So, stuff's going on. Okay, now, in all of that, let me move here. Scientists to hold back time for 1 second. Scientists to hold back time for 1 second? Really? Horologists around the world on Saturday will carry out one of the weirdest operations of their profession. They will hold back time. The last minute of June 30th, 2012 is destined to be 61 seconds long, for timekeepers are able to a leap second to compensate for wibbly-wobbly movements of our world. The ever so brief halting of the second hand will compensate for a creeping divergence from solar time, meaning the period required for Earth to complete a day. The planet takes just over 86,400 seconds for a 360-degree rotation, but it wobbles on its axis and is affected by the gravitational pull of the sun and the moon and the ocean tides, all of which break the rotation by a tiny sliver of a second. As a result, Earth gets out of step with International Atomic Time, which uses the pulsation of atoms to measure time to an accuracy of several billionths of a second. To avoid solar time and TAI moving too far apart, the widely used indicator of coordinated universal time, UTC, is adjusted every so often to give us the odd 86,401 second day. The adjustment began in 1972. Before then, time was measured exclusively by the position of the sun or stars in relation to Earth, expressed in Greenwich Mean Time, or its successor, UT1. This will be the 25th invention to add a leap second to universal time. Today, time is constructed, defined, and measured with atomic clocks that are definitely more stable than astronomical time. Noel, director of the Smyrite Time Research System of the Paris Observatory, told AFP. This allows us to ensure that everyone on Earth is on the exact same time. Alright, so time is being adjusted and messed with. Not only here, but in the CERN project that is taking place. Do these things have some sort of an effect or a consequence? Well, timing, as we know, is important. Timing is everything. So when time is being adjusted, even for a second, you can bet that it's going to affect things to some degree or another. So this is just another one of those things that are taking place behind the scenes that are affecting the big picture, because time affects all of us. And not everyone is aware of how time is adjusted or when it's adjusted or what's going on, but things like this show that there are much more things behind the scenes taking place, and our timings is very important. We need to know when to step away from the politics and all of that nonsense to look at what's really going on, and things like this are important. There's issues of time and time travel that are coming into play and being discussed in the world this day, which is unique, different. Okay, so all of this being said, talked about a lot of wild and wacky things here. Time, politics, Obama, need for a distraction. Well, it's quite possible that there is something out there that we're going to have to deal with. I want to bring this up first. Okay, this here is a graphic that the illusion of choice. The media has never been more consolidated. 6 media giants now control a staggering 90% of what we read, watch, or listen to. Okay, and here are the 6 companies: GE, News Corporation, Disney, Viacom, Time Warner, CBS. Each one of these companies has companies that they own: Comcast, NBC, Universal, Fox, Wall Street, New York Post, Marvel, ABC, MTV, Paramount, CMT, Time, Warner Brothers, CNN, Smithsonian, Showtime. Okay, 232 media executives control the information diet of 277 million Americans. Why do I show that to you? Because the other night, one of these channels, one of these programs that is on this list, National Geographic, they ran a program about when aliens attack. Well, National Geographic has certainly been one of these channels that seems to be putting propaganda out there that is certainly untrue. They've been caught in many other instances, 9/11 related. This is just one where they're putting information out there. The question people should ask is why? Why is National Geographic running a program on what to do when aliens attack? Think about that for a second. I know, okay, there's those of you who are saying, oh, it's just a program. Okay, thanks for playing. Now think even harder. They're showing you that because they want you to believe that there's a situation that you're going to need to be concerned about. Okay? So the governments and the administrations of the world are setting you up. I believe they're setting the people of this world up for an event in order to distract the people from the problems of the world and to get the people to side back with them with the New World Order agenda. And one way to do that would be to get the entire world to think that it was under threat. Well, Project Bluebeam is a project that has been discussed on this show and a number of others for some time. Project Bluebeam is a project that uses holographic information, holographic equipment to create images in the sky, and 3D holograph right there, Army research. And with this holographic equipment, there is the opportunity to fool a lot of people who don't understand that they are seeing a holograph. Here is a piece right here.
Good morning. My name is Carol Rosen. In 1974, after being a 6th grade school teacher, I was introduced to the late Dr. Wernher von Braun in the U.S., the father of rocketry. In my first meeting with him, during that first 3.5 hours, he said to me, Carol, you will stop the weaponization of space. And I said, you know, teachers don't stop until June. He said, no, you have to understand, this is February. And we have to prevent the weaponization of space because there is a lie being told to everyone that the weaponization of space is now first being based upon the evil empire, the Russians. There are many enemies, he said, against whom we're going to build this space-based weapon system, the first of whom was the Russians, which was existing at that time. Then there would be terrorists. Then there would be third world countries. Now we call them rogue nations or nations of concern. Then there would be asteroids. And then he would repeat to me over and over, and the last card, the last card, the last card would be the extraterrestrial threat. Well, at the time, I kind of laughed when he said asteroids, and when he said extraterrestrials, I knew I wasn't going to deal with that subject. And now we hear on the news just today, this week, that they've slid in another enemy. Only this time we're going to protect our satellites. In other words, we have to have some reason to spend these trillions to...
Okay, so the last card is the alien invasion. Now, you remember when the disclosure petition came out and the White House came out with its stance and they said, oh, that there wasn't any information. So how did we suddenly go from no information, no evidence at all, to programs that are saying we need to be prepared for an alien invasion? There's a missing step within there. You don't go from there's no aliens to now there's an invasion without having that middle ground. People are being played. Okay? They're being played and taken for granted that people are going to listen and believe everything that is being told. Now, if we backtrack here within these articles, you remember that Nick Pope, where's it at here? Nick Pope warns UK to prepare for UFO activity during the 2012 Olympics. In a June 7, 2012 article published at Daily Mail, UFO expert and former investigator for the UK Ministry of Defence and UFO project Nick Pope warns that the 2012 Olympic Games to be held in London could be a tempting target for UFOs and their alien occupants. Pope is a frequent guest on Coast to Coast where he shares his research. Okay, Nick Pope, we seem to believe, is someone who shills for the government. So if he is out passing this information, think about why that would be. Would he be telling you this because he wants people to not believe this? No, he wants people to think that something's going on. Now, more than just him, there's probably an organization behind him that wants people to think something's going on. So if something indeed does go on, there's a possibility that there was pre-knowledge about that event. If there was pre-knowledge about an event that is going to take place, that means it was a planned event of some sorts. So if it is a planned event, how could they plan that there is going to be a UFO activity during the Olympics? Well, one way would be to be in contact with the alien group who says they are going to be doing activity during the Olympics, or to fake some sort of activity during the Olympics. And Project Bluebeam has the capability of doing just that. So if you just put the pieces together and you look at what's going on, and here's another article right here for you. This is henrymacau.com. Bluebeam schedule for 2012. Could the ultimate false flag be timed for the 2012 London Olympics? Project Bluebeam, according to some, is a current top secret plan orchestrated in part by NASA that in 4 stages attempts none other than the first global false flag with the help of 3D holographic technology. According to Serge Manas, Project Bluebeam will consist of 4 stages, culminating in a kind of ELF radiation apocalypse. First, earthquake will expose new archaeological discoveries. Second, the image of God speaking in all languages will appear. Third, electronic telepathy involving ELF, VLF, and LF, which stands for extremely low, very low, and low frequency waves, will reach inside the brains, interlacing and interweaving with natural thinking to form diffused artificial thought. And fourth, electronic universal supernatural manifestation designed to deceive will make mankind believe an alien invasion is imminent. All right? And if you continue down this article, von Braun and things he had said about the human race are tied in here. Then you've got the videos of the Olympics and the Zion spelling around it. Okay? Now, I want you to remember, Jesus said he would be coming back in the clouds. So quite possibly in the clouds could be in a UFO. All right? So we are told that Jesus is good. And Jesus said he would be coming back in the clouds. Look for him. So you're going to have the Christians who are going to be looking to the clouds, looking for Jesus to come down from the clouds, possibly in a UFO spaceship. Well, at the same time, you have the governments of the world who have said, oh, there's no UFOs, are condoning, because that's how it works with these programs, they're condoning programming going out telling people there could be an alien invasion. Well, why would anyone on Earth be shooting at the aliens and think there's going to be an alien invasion if indeed the word was, I will be returning in the clouds? So if Jesus is coming in the clouds, Jesus isn't coming to invade. Jesus is coming for good reasons. He's making a return. So why would somebody want to convince you that the return of the aliens would be a bad thing and we need to be prepared to fight? Now, when you tie in all the information about the Antichrist and see that the Antichrist, at least one name that was used in the Bible, Matthew 10:18, refers to Barack Obama in the position. At least it makes a reference to this time period that we're in. The whole military global industrial complex, the New World Order, is acting very anti-Christ-like and are wanting others to join them in believing that the extraterrestrials are bad. Well, don't believe them. I believe there is a major psychological operations going on against you. Okay? Pay attention. That's all I could say. Maybe I'm crazy. Absolutely none of this is going to go on. But I am pretty good at putting together puzzles and seeing the trends. There's a pattern going on here, and we need to pay attention so we're not fooled. All right. And the very last thing I put up here is I put up a schedule for the Olympics. 27th is when the opening ceremony is, and the 12th is the closing ceremony, 12th of August. Should be quite fascinating to see what's going to go on. This opening ceremony, I'll pull up some pictures for next week, and as we get closer, got a strange stage being built. It's got a character on there like a black magician. It's got this serpentine character, the shape going through it. There's an obelisk. There's things on there that are very Masonic indeed, and makes you wonder why such objects would be on a particular platform of some nature like it is. So, things to pay attention to, definitely indeed. All right, last but not least, let's do our meditation for today. Let's go ahead and close your eyes and relax. Close your eyes and relax. All right, I would like you to imagine that you're walking along a path. All of your chakras are activated. Red at the bottom of the spine, orange at just above that at the belly button, yellow just below the rib cage, green at the heart, blue at the throat, violet at the third eye, indigo at the crown, and the light continues on. Take a moment to honor your connection to all that is, was, and ever shall be. Feel all of this multicolored energy flowing through your body. And allow this energy to expand outward, forming this egg of protection around you. And as you walk, your energy gives off the vibe of truth. It eliminates illusions around you. Notice as you walk, the illusions of the world change and you see the world exactly as it is. The illusions painted by the television melt away and you see the truth. Illusion of all sorts dissipates. And as you see the truth, you realize truth will always set us free. And all we need to do is open our minds, open our hearts, open our eyes. So let's hold the spirit of truthfulness in our hearts. Let's think good thoughts for everyone in the world, and let us bring our energy and attention back to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. All right, there you have it. We've made it through another show, prayer meditation. Thanks for being here. Have a great weekend. I know it was a short week of shows, but I'll have some good interviews and stuff coming up from it. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here.